Alrighty then, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here. Our illustrious chairwoman, Nisi Stewart, was unable to attend today, so I am taking over the reins. So welcome everyone to our March networking breakfast of the Los Alamitos Area Chamber of Commerce. I am Manny Govea. I'm the Municipal Relationship Manager with Republic Services and also serve on the Board of Directors with the Chamber. So thank you all for attending, and we're gonna have a wonderful breakfast together. Just like we always did in person, we're going to start off this morning with the flag salute. So if everybody could put their right hand over their heart. And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic
for which
it stands,
one
one nation,
under
under
God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. I know it sometimes sounds a little awkward when we're doing it virtually. We also want to, of course, welcome our newest member to the chamber, and that is the Fairfield Inn and Suites. I do not believe they were able to join us this morning for the breakfast, but I know many of us on this virtual meeting today were in person for the first time in a long time when we were able to cut the ribbon of the new facility there in Los Alamitos. And I will just say it was absolutely beautiful, and what a wonderful addition to the community. I look forward to when we can have full events again and we're all around that pool in the back, because it's such a really beautiful space. Maybe we'll even have a chamber mixer there.
So you volunteered to set that up, right, Manny?
Is that what I just did? I should know better by now, shouldn't I? At this time, we also want to welcome our city council members and city personnel and other representatives who are currently here with us this morning. I know we have Mayor Pro Tem Hasselbrink.
Hello.
Good morning. We also have Council Member Ron Bates.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have City Manager Chet Simmons.
Morning, folks.
Good morning. I know we have Evelyn Noda with the Parks and Community Services Department.
Morning.
Good morning. And we have of course, our former mayor of Los Alamitos, Troy Edgar, who will also be our speaker of today's breakfast.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all again.
And if there's anybody I missed, my thorough apologies, but please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Megan Shimada from the City of Los Alamitos Recreation Department.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Hi, Anna Trudeau is here from Catella Senior Living Community.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
And then at this time, I also want to be sure that we recognize anyone who is currently or formerly who has served in the military. I know we've got Colonel Lawler here. Good morning, Colonel.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here.
Is there anyone else who is an active duty or veteran?
Yes, I'm Ronnie Geyer, veteran of the first major battles of the Vietnam War. The movie We Were Soldiers, Battle of Ia Drang is where I was. Left Orange County for it, was blessed to come back to Orange County. I'm also a former representative of members of the state legislature. And that's where I met Troy. God bless America.
Good morning. Thank you for your service.
My honor.
All right, and now I'm going to kick it over to Liana Ferris, who is our first vice president of the chamber, to kick us off into self-introductions.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
Leanna.
Okay, sorry. I am a Zoom rookie, believe it or not. Thank God for that. So if you would like to just quickly say your name and the company that you are representing, if you have a tagline, go ahead and share that with us. I'll just start it off. My name is Leanna Ferris. I'm the owner of Leanna Ferris State Farm Insurance.
Don't forget your tagline.
Oh, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Sorry, that's a big one.
Now we know you.
Now we know who I am.
Yeah.
And Leanna, if you want to just call on whoever you see on your screen, starting in your top left corner, we'll just go one by one.
Okay, perfect. I see the gentleman that served on our Great Wars.
U.S. River Cruise company that I wanted to talk a little bit about is American Queen Steamboat Company. And Pleasant Holidays and AAA have partnered with American Queen Steamboat Company
Who's
for
speaking?
many years, and they
Looks like it might
just
be
do an amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that
Mary's,
my turn up?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know who's speaking.
It look-
About American Queen.
Good morning. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Andrew Pulver, proud superintendent, Los Alamitos Unified School District, where we try to ignite unlimited possibilities for our students.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm asking everyone to mute, please, so we can. I think that's
And
important.
Manny, just so you know, I can't see anybody, so I don't know who to even call on.
Okay, I'll get you covered here.
Thank
Shelley
you.
Henderson, you're up.
Shelley Henderson, editor of Orange County Breeze. We get the word out. If you are open for business in whatever fashion, let us know so we can let our readers know.
Laureen Berlin. Laureen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I'm a guest of Nisi Stewart, even though she's not here today. And I like this statement: seek not only to become successful, but along the way to becoming successful, that you've made a difference. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Laureen. David Young.
Good morning, Los Al. David Young, Event News Enterprise, keeping the community covered.
Press Enterprise.
Hilda.
Good morning, Hilda Stramick. I'm president of Carla's Movie Restaurant, a nonprofit where we showcase new filmmakers and artists. We've been doing this for 10 years and are now looking for a permanent restaurateur partner. Thank you.
Thank you. Emmeline.
Good morning, everyone. Emmeline Noda, City of Los Alamitos, Recreation and Community Services, creating quality of life.
JP.
Hi, good morning. Hi, John Pettis. Sorry, I'm trying to change my name from my initials, but I work for CIU Networks, not your average IT company. We're a managed service provider here in Los Al.
Wonderful. Troy.
I'll do a little bit of an introduction coming up here, but again, Troy Edgar and previous city council member, mayor of Los Al, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Teresa.
Teresa Murphy with Precious Life Shelter, saving babies one mother at a time. And we have a thrift store located at the corner of Floresta and Reagan, and we are open Monday through Friday, 10 to 4.
Councilmember Ron Bates.
Ron Bates, City of Los Alamitos, happy to be with you today.
Amy Lakin.
Hi, everyone. Amy Lakin with Casa Youth Shelter, helping kids and families build better futures.
Mayor Pro Tem Shelley Hasselbrink.
Hi, I'm Shelley Hasselbrink with the City of Los Alamitos, and it's always my city, my Los Al.
Aaron. Aaron. Let's see. All right, I've got Anna Trudeau.
This from Nashville, from absolutely amazing cities here in the West.
Anna Trudeau. Okay, how about Susan Morales?
Good morning,
Hello.
everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm from Los Alamitos Medical Center. We're community built on care, and we are now allowing limited visitation.
Selena. We can't hear you. Says we can't hear you, Selena. Sorry. David Appling. How about Scott Fayette?
Good morning, Scott Fayette, Los Alamitos school board member. Sorry, I'm on my phone kind of out and about, but I didn't want to miss this, so I wanted to hear what was going on. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Mr. Chet Simmons. How about Patricia Nessa?
Hi, good morning. I am a long time friend of Troy's. I've known him since he was like 10 years old, and I'm just to give him some support. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Mary Barkey?
Good morning. Sorry about that. Just got out of the car from the gym, so I'm hiding behind my picture. But I'm on the Orange County Board of Education, there to give the community the choices my children had for school. And I work for the California Policy Center, which is a nonpartisan think tank. Our 3 projects are Parent Union. We're focusing on getting schools reopened. Janice, getting people out of the union. And Clio, California local elected officials, educating and preparing them to run. And thrilled to see Troy back in town.
Thank you.
And Mary Halsgang. I think you're on mute still, Mary. There we go.
Mary Holzgang, representing the Los Alamitos Rossmore Friends of the Library. And although the Friends store is closed, the library is open. And because books can take you everywhere and tell you anything. So that's why we're here. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. Now I know there's some phone numbers on here without a name, and we had a couple technical difficulties. So if there's anybody else who would like to introduce themselves that didn't get the opportunity already, now's your turn.
Good morning, everyone. It's Anna Trudeau from Catella Senior Living.
Wonderful.
I think I spoke prematurely before, and we're independent, assisted, and memory care. I go, I see, I experience, I imagine, I dream.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anna. And I know Selena's having some technical difficulties this morning, but I did want to give her a shout out. She's from Grace Christian School, and they teach students from preschool, 2 years old through 8th grade. And thank you so much for joining us here today, Selena. Is there anybody else?
Megan Shimada here from the City of Los Alamitos Recreation and Community Services Department. Our tagline is creating quality of life. And of course, we also have My City, My Los Al.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. All righty. Pull up the slide deck one more time. All right, back to you, Leanna.
Okay, I'd like to introduce our 2021 Board of Directors. Nisi Stewart is our chair. Myself, Leanna Ferris, first vice chair. Kathy McNally, second vice chair. Dan Schwartz, financials. Sabina Ars, these are our board directors. Manny Govea, Judy Clabeau, Susan Morales, Andrew Pulver, Michelle Retzlaff, Monica Selman, and Dave Boyer. And thank you all for stepping up. Appreciate it. You give of your time. We're very appreciative.
All right, at this point in time, we're going to get an update from the City of Los Alamitos, and I believe, Emmeline, you're going to be doing that update?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Just have a couple events we'd like to share with you. We have our upcoming drive-through Spring Carnival, Saturday, April 3rd. We are happy to report we are sold out. We sold out within a week. We opened the first day to residents and then the second day to non-residents, and we filled up. Got about 200 cars coming through Saturday, April 3rd. We've got, I think we're full with trunks as well. So thank you for your support, and just wanted to share about that event. And then following in April, April 16th and 17th, we have Weekend of Art, and we do invite the whole community to come out and submit art pieces. And we are hoping to have performances as well, weather permitting. It'll be outdoors. Reservations will be required so that we can do the whole social distance thing, but we are excited to announce that we are going to reopen our community center on April 5th with classes and a new lobby that we, as city staff, kind of DIY'd, upgraded, renovated. So we're super excited to open back up. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmeline. And then, do we have anybody who would like to speak about the Rossmore Homeowners Association upcoming event? Currently on the call? Okay, well, they're hosting an event, Thorns and Roses. Tickets are on sale now. That's taking place this Friday, March 26th at 7 o'clock.
It is our high school dance program that RHA is joining Los Alamitos High School Griffin Dance, and it will be a great event for anybody interested.
Thank you, Andrew. And do we have anybody from the Youth Center would like to speak about their upcoming event this Saturday? Okay. And Amy, would you like to speak about the upcoming Casa Youth Shelter event?
I would love to.
Or it was yesterday.
No. It's next month, absolutely. We are having a birthday party to celebrate Casa Youth Shelter's 43 years over there on Reagan Street. And we're trying to celebrate in sort of a unique way because, you know, we can't have our typical big party gala. So we are working with some of the local donut shops, and we are having a donut fundraiser. So you can purchase donuts and come drive through and pick them up in front of the shelter on Saturday, April 24th. Or we have another option where you can, for $100 a month for 1 year, purchase a dozen donuts and have them delivered to a location of your choice. So we've already got a dozen donuts being delivered every month to the police department, and some to the medical center, and some to Casa Youth Shelter. So we have forms available, and it'll be posted online starting April 1st. But we would love to partner with anybody in the community who's interested in getting donuts for all the folks at your business or sharing them with other places around the community. You're welcome to purchase, and we will deliver.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amy. All right, and I know Nisi's not here, but she still is actively hosting her student art contest for students of all ages, I believe, even through college. And those are all getting published in a book that she's going to be creating. I am actually a judge, and I need to submit my evaluations, and this just reminded me, so I'm happy to see the slide. All right, and now we are on to the man of the hour, Mr. Troy Edgar, who is the former CFO, Department of Homeland Security, and the former mayor of Los Alamitos. I am going to stop sharing this screen and pull up his slide deck, as well as read a bio about him. So bear with me while I'm controlling several different things at the same time. All right, so I would like to introduce the Honorable Troy Edgar. He's the, as I just said, former CFO and Associate Deputy Undersecretary of Management for the Department of Homeland Security and the previous mayor of Los Alamitos. He was appointed by President Trump in March of 2019 and confirmed by the United States Senate on a 62-31 vote. He was responsible for a $90 billion budget that supported over 253,000 employees. He served as the department's 6th CFO through January 20th of 2021. Troy is a U.S. Navy veteran and served 12 years on the Los Alamitos City Council and is a longtime member of the Chamber. As a corporate executive and entrepreneur, he has 30 years of business experience at over 40 Fortune 500 companies and consulting firms, and led many successful startup companies. He's currently the executive chairman of his company, Global Conductor. Prior to joining DHS, he sold his 5G underground construction company that he had started back in 2004. Troy currently maintains residence in both Washington, D.C. and Los Alamitos. He's working with companies, industry associations, venture capital, and investment banks focused in the federal space. Troy recently joined the USC Marshall School of Business Board of Counselors that assist veterans transition to industry through the Masters of Business for Veterans program, MBV. He also continues to write articles on national security, fiscal policy, business transformation, and government modernization, as well as 2 books. Please help me welcome Troy Edgar.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Hey, first of all, just really good to be back. And so good to see all the faces again. It's, it's quite a whirlwind. And, really, the chamber, when I started within Los Alamitos, that was probably the first area I started getting involved with while I was doing AYSO stuff. And then to be able to kind of hear some of the stuff that I've been able to do, I'm like, wow, that was quite a journey. So, I've also just want to thank the city council members that are on the call, the school board members, the leadership of the chamber for hosting me. And Nisi, I was giving her a hard time yesterday because she had called me about a month ago and asked me if I would talk to the chamber, and then she decided to go to Pebble Beach. So I told her I'd probably make the same choice. So anyway, when I see her, I'm going to get some free sushi out of her for that. So, what I wanted to do a little bit, I've got a very short amount of time. I being a chamber member, and I can relate knowing and seeing Shelley on there, is a lot of times we would come to the chamber meetings and we're like, man, I hope this thing ends on time. So the one thing that I did learn in DC is you usually have a very limited amount of time. You got to make the best of it. So I'll go fairly quickly. And then I think one of the most important parts is that I was getting a lot of questions from people that wanted to ask questions. So I'm going to try to go through and see if I can get done at a point where I would be able to take some questions from you. Anyway, go on to the next page. I put together a couple slides to keep it simple. What is DHS? A lot of people, ask me, hey, Troy, how did you get to very quickly understand what was going on there and how could you make a difference? And, the one thing that I would say is in any job, and this I would relate to all of you business and school and community leaders, is that, whenever you get ready to do a job for somebody or you're going to take on a new job, you really want to read up and be prepared. And the good thing about taking a job within the federal government is it's a public, organization, so it's unlimited. So before I got there, I had read everything that was humanly possible about DHS, about how it was structured, about what its budget was, where the problems were, what the Senate's perception was, and what the White House was trying to accomplish. So hitting the ground there, also kind of an extended Senate confirmation gave me a chance to really get to know. DHS, third largest department in the government. I put some statistics up on political appointees because I think it's important. Think about this, if you're an administration person, if you have an organization like DHS, 253,000 people, and you're trying to get your agenda through administratively, or at least through policy-wise, it came down to kind of the 200 presidential appointments within DHS. And then within those, there was about 17 that were what they would call PAS, or presidential appointed, Senate confirmed. And then, as everybody had read in the press, the president really was more focused on trying to get people into the jobs. And if he couldn't make it through the Senate, he would just appoint them in acting roles. And so within DHS, we had 6 confirmed of the 17. And I was one of the 6, and we had 11 acting. I'm going to give you a little bit of a perspective when you get to the next page, but that gives you an idea of the scope. Something people don't realize, I think, just stay on the previous page, just one more moment, is, DHS is a law enforcement agency. It's got a lot of different missions, but it's not just the Border Patrol, it's not just the wall builder. And so what I was hoping to be able to share with you guys today is just really quickly, some of the different things that DHS does and how it's broken up, because when you think about it, 22 components, it's a monster. And but it's really made up, to kind of make it easier and to give you some perspective, the Fortune 500. So $90 billion is big. American Airlines, $50 billion. IBM, $72 billion. So when you start looking at DHS, it's broken up into really 7 major operating components, and each one of them are anywhere from 4 billion to 18 billion. So they're like a bunch of little companies. So my corporate background going into companies on the Fortune 500 was really helpful to really quickly look at it, and my approach was really to get out and see each one of them. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. They do law enforcement. Everybody knows the border stuff. They know the interior. When I say interior, once people are inside the U.S., the ICE actions with the removal activity and to make sure immigration internally is handled. Federal buildings. We have the largest police force that does the protection of federal buildings. When we got involved with Portland, people were going, why is DHS there? Well, it's because it was a courthouse that was being under fire, and our people were in danger that actually protected. The marshals are on the inside, we're on the kind of the door. The transnational, people don't know this about Homeland Security, but it's got more federal agents than the FBI and ATF put together. And it basically has one of the few organizations that has transnational law enforcement authority, meaning they can go to different countries and work crime all the way from the source country into the US. That's why the border is so important. It's not just about immigration, it's about narcotics, it's about organized crime. Financial crimes, everybody knows the Secret Service protecting the president, but really one of the biggest missions it has, and why I was trying to put it over into Treasury, is it's one of the best financial crimes divisions. If you had a problem here in Los Alamitos, and I had this, I had somebody sent a note to employees saying it was me, fished me, and said, hey, look, I'm out somewhere in the world and I need 5 gift cards. And I know you're in the office. Can you just get them and then send me a note with the numbers on them? I had an employee that actually did that for $2,000 worth of cards before I came in. And when that happened, you call the FBI and you get put in a queue that you'll never hear back. The place to call is the Secret Service. They actually have a division that focuses more at the retail level on stuff. And so it's kind of a big part of what Secret Service does. Military with the Coast Guard, trade with Customs. Yeah, we do tremendous amount of the trade across the United States. It kind of gets handed off with the Coast Guard bringing it into port and CBP bringing it across the line. Legal immigration, you'll hear me use the term USCIS, which is U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. That's naturalized citizenship. And H-1B visas, all that stuff that's legal. Emergency management, that's FEMA. Transportation, TSA, and that not only in airports, but also like ship terminals when you go to Mexico or you take an Alaskan cruise or wherever. And then cyber and infrastructure. So I wanted before I got on to do this call, I called Nisi. I said, Nisi, what would you like to kind of hear? And she said, trying to kind of bring some examples home. I talked to a couple other close friends within the community, and one was like, hey, we really would like to know a little bit more about what DHS does. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. So let me just go to the next page. This is the organization of DHS and kind of how and where I fit in at. You see the 1, 2, 3, secretary, deputy, and undersecretary. And blue just means that these jobs were filled, that they had acting people in it. Green are the confirmed people that I told you that we had, the 6 that were out there. And then the white circles are ones that the president can appoint, but they don't have to go through Senate confirmation. I put this up because, really what you got is a mixed bag that really depends significantly on career staff to be the stable force. A lot of people ask me, when you're in there, what was your perception of the career people? And I would just tell you for DHS, they were unbelievable. I think that they get a lot of pressure because of the policies and the perceptions that are going on, but those very, very professional folks. The other reason I put the hierarchy order in there, 1, 2, 3, is that DHS has a succession order, and so do all federal departments. So if somebody leaves, like the secretary gets fired, everybody kind of automatically by law moves up. So you'll see the undersecretary of management is a pretty important role. It's the business stability function of Homeland. So the problem was right within Homeland. I was brought in through Kirsten Nielsen, who was the secretary at the time when I started, but I came in with Chad Wolf. Chad served in that undersecretary of policy, and then the president made him the secretary. Kim Cuccinelli was the deputy secretary, and he was acting. He couldn't get confirmed because he had some run-ins with McConnell that he will probably never overcome. And then the undersecretary of management, they didn't fill that job because president wanted Chad and Ken to be 1 and 2. And if you put a permanent confirmed undersecretary, it automatically pushes those two out of the way into the street. So by default, you had to kind of keep the undersecretary of management basically open unless you were really confident you were going to have a secretary and deputy that was permanent. Hopefully that makes sense. So when I started my confirmation process as CFO, they really brought me in for business stability. They knew they couldn't fill that undersecretary job. The CFO has direct legal authority to work for the secretary and the deputy, reporting into the undersecretary of management, which is an acting 3-star general that's in there now. And when I started running into problems in my Senate confirmation, they basically, the White House asked me if I would come in and work within that undersecretary of management in an acting role. So that's why some of the time people here, when I went before I was actually confirmed, I was operating in that role really to bring business stability as a political and as a senior business guy for DHS, working across all the operational components. That allowed me to do that. I had to get special Senate approval because they don't want you to overserve or usurp their authority. So they wanted to make sure that I didn't act as the CFO, and I put to the right CFO, CIO, CPO, so all of the department functions are in that undersecretary stream there. And so I had to make sure that I did everything but act like the CFO. The operational components at DHS is kind of broken up into 2 types of components, operational and support. And so to keep it simple, just because there's a lot of moving parts, everything you hear about in the news is really within that middle area of operational components. One last point on this, and then I'll get to the next slide, is you know, how did all these fit together? You know, it was just a rush job in 2002 after 9/11. What happened? You know, you had the Coast Guard and the Department of Commerce, CBP, ICE, et cetera. That, you know, FEMA was its own agency, standalone, TSA was out there. So the bottom line is, think about it like this: if you're at the border and you're trying to figure out people coming into the into the country, ICE would see if there's crimes and activity going on outside of the country before you came in through their HSI division, their Homeland Security Investigations. It's like USCIS, or it's like what you see in CIS. It's the investigative arm of DHS. CBP would be manning the border. If you were a business, you'd cross the border and go into customs, so CBP. If you were trying to go around the border and go through the water, the Coast Guard would be off the shore through 12 miles offshore. And they would track your boat in, and then you'd go through the same process through ICE, through CBP to make it in. And if you flew in, you would come in through TSA. And if you were in a different country and wanted to apply for citizenship for different reasons, or you're in the country and want to apply, then you would go through USCIS, that CIS group. Secret Service was protection, but I told you it also did financial crimes, and CISA was infrastructure protection, and that's a new organization. And so basically, their kind of big thing was, during COVID, to make sure all the infrastructure contingency was in place. They did the election security, and at the end, Chris Krebs, who was in there, a colleague of mine, he got himself out there and made a big deal at the end and kind of pulled the ejection cord, but he was the guy in charge of the election evaluations there in CISA. And so that gives you kind of an idea of the lay of the land of DHS. Down below, you look at it, FLETC is a training, it trains all law enforcement across the entire government, including FBI, ATF, Homeland, you name it. S&T, think about James Bond movies, the science division, when they go to CQ and they have all these really cool things. You go to S&T to see what they developed to come up. S&T did a lot of the studies on COVID. before they were released. That's when the president did a little bit of a faux pas and said that you should drink stuff to kind of clear yourself out. That came from that group, but it obviously wasn't a recommendation. That he was kind of going off the cuff there. But you know, they did studies of COVID in airplanes and on surfaces, out in parks, in the sunlight, in the dark. So every week we would get updates from S&T, and those would go directly over to the White House. Weapons of mass destruction, CWD. You think, what are they doing with mass destruction in Homeland? Well, think about when Coast Guard boards a freighter coming into the harbor and they're unsure what's on there. They bring CWMD people that have all of these radiation detectors and all these things, so they can do a really quick evaluation of what is on that ship, what's in the airplane, what the person's bringing over. When COVID hit, CWMD was the ones that were doing the temperature and the wellness checks at the airports when people were starting to come through, and we're trying to get everybody back home. INA is our intel group. You heard in the news that there was some potential finagling. We had a person that's a whistleblower said that he was told to take certain actions on certain groups. So that intel group is there. OIG is the Office of the Inspector General. Ops kind of helps coordinate things, and then management. With a CFO, I kind of had two roles. I was the department CFO, and I also, within management, I had a CFO that worked for me that had responsibility for all the actions like within CPO, CIO, federal police. The only thing I would say, kind of last thing on this picture, is that within the Homeland, within the operational components, I would also have 13 CFOs that reported to me. So they, you know, so I was the CFO for the department. So when I would come out, and some people have seen pictures I posted out on social media of me going in a tunnel underneath the border or in a helicopter, or people go, why is the CFO out there? I was the gateway to potentially get money freed up or put together new legislation to do things, or alternatives to detention, which would be a big border thing, or new ships for the Coast Guard. Well, one way to do that is you would get kind of a tour of the sponsor of whatever that was. They'd want you to come out. So they valued the CFO coming out to their organization. They'd give a tour, because I would go back to Congress and for the appropriations committees and talk about what's needed. I'd go back to the secretary, I'd talk to the White House through OMB, and we would get a coordination going. So, I always tell people, and it's not true, but I always tell people I made finance sexy because it was really fun. I couldn't believe all the stuff I was able to do. Sometime at the ale house over a couple of beers, I had some pretty interesting stories of things that I did. It was pretty incredible. Next page. People always ask, well, Troy, did you accomplish what you wanted to do there? And I try to just make this really quick, and I'll go through successful budget programming and execution. FY20 was the budget that we were in when I came in. 21 was the one we released, the March that I was there live in October. And 21 was the one that I programmed and submitted to Congress and was going back and forth with well, actually never made it to Congress, made it to the White House or OMB, and they held it. And then as the election happened, they held it, and never submitted. And then in transition, when I worked with the Biden administration, I had the opportunity of going through the FY22 budget and giving, some suggestions policy-wise that they would go to be able to implement within those boundaries and alternatives. So I kind of got to go back to consulting a little. Was able to support key administration policies. You can see those there with the different things, the border wall, immigration, national security, grants, $11 billion for Puerto Rico. And then significant COVID-19 support. So this was kind of stuff I didn't plan, but it was really key in the process to free up part of supplemental care monies for the $44 billion for lost wages, and to get that through Congress, to get it approved so we get those payments out really quickly, because all of those payments had to be approved state by state through Congress. Financial recovery of the DHS fee-based organizations, so specifically USCIS and Customs and Border Patrol. A lot of issues there. You can read that, but there's a lot of layoffs, and the Customs and Immigration depends 98% on fees. So when no one's able to go through the immigration process, there's no fees, and so they were really hard. Lastly, DHS fiscal policy modernization, and clean audits, maintain the relationship with GAO high risk, taking it, almost getting ready to get off the GAO high risk list. And then with financial system modernization, I implemented TSA in October, or the organization did, and Coast Guard's coming up in October, and then FEMA and ICE are out in the market, and they just went through the bid process and put that together. So that's my trip to DHS, and kind of all of it in a show. What I would like to do, you know, it's 8:43 with maybe 5 to 10 minutes max. I thought I would open up and see if anybody had any specific questions that they would like to be able to go through and answer. And again, this is a non-political discussion, so I'm probably just, you know, put that out there. And I promised Nisi, maybe that's why she isn't on the call, but I just joking, but I did promise that I would just try to keep it light. So if there's questions I can answer, I'd be more than happy to do that. Let me just go ahead, Mandy, and just open it up and see if there's anybody has any questions.
I had a question. I'm Ronnie Geyer.
Hey, Ron.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And a nice way to see you too. And just really tremendously proud and exceedingly happy for you and your wife and your family and all your loved ones to see your efforts all your life being put to such good use. It's obvious. And I'm really, really pleased and happy and proud for you. I just had one question. I looked in one of those sections of the department. The natural born situation in citizenship. The state of Hawaii, when it became a state, had a clause in the statehood that allowed babies born outside of Hawaii or outside of the United States would be able to be brought back to Hawaii. And if these people lived in Hawaii, they would be able to go to Honolulu authorities and ask for a Honolulu birth certificate, and they would produce it. And it was law for at least 1 or 2 years, and then I think the legislature extended it for a while. And I'm just kind of curious if someone was actually, if that would be applicable to a natural born status, if someone were born out of the country with a father that was not an American citizen, if that would be under the jurisdiction of your department to look into or be aware of.
It would fall within the USCIS, the Immigration Services Group, and you know, even the current administration is doing a significant lift from my connections, and they're still looking at some of the different loopholes and trying to, yeah, everybody keeps hearing about the comprehensive immigration package, but yeah, I mean, that would be something that they would focus on from a USCIS and really verification. It's getting pretty high tech now. It's biometric identity and that process. And actually COVID has really improved the need for digital files, digital filings, authentication. But as the CFO, I think probably more my role was trying to make sure they had the resources to be able to pursue the policies and potentially the capital assets to do whatever the administration was trying to accomplish.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Troy, at the beginning you said you were getting back into consulting somewhat. So what do you see in your near-term and medium-term future?
Right now, Shelley, I've been working with a lot of Fortune 500 and consulting companies, the large ones. Interesting is I had relationships with those types of companies on the commercial side of it, non-government. And so January 20th, I still was waiting to the last day. There was a chance that I potentially would hold over and stay to help for business stability until they were able to get a CFO in. But ethically and legally, I could not talk to any companies. So I really, at that point, was realizing, hey, I better take some time and see what I wanted to do. On January 21st, the day after the inauguration, I started getting a tremendous amount of calls because I was a business guy within a political environment. It was a little bit of a unicorn, and I think a lot of the people were having hard times in the administration with find some work. And I think for me, it went the other way. So I've been doing that. I also, I've been looking at venture capital and investment groups that are looking at these, what they call SPACs, that are basically things that are put together to go public and then go buy a company. And then all of these companies are starting to consolidate in the federal space. And so somebody that's been an operational CFO and then a CFO in government, that seems to be something that a lot of boards want to have, as somebody to help them do that and sell, so that they have credibility to go to the street to do the to raise money for venture capital funds.
Troy, I have a question. What's the extent of the risk of our national security right now? What's the level being considered in the administration with what's going on at our border at this time?
Well, obviously, I'm not on the inside, so I've got to look at it from a distance, as we all do on this call. I will tell you something. The whole picture, it is concerning, but the part you got to keep in mind, and again, just to be fair to the group that's in now, is I tell people, they used to laugh at this, is I'd wake up in the morning, I'd listen to NPR, so I'd get a perspective. Then I would, go in and I would have, where our offices are, we have news going all the time to make sure we're situationally aware. And then when I'd go home, I would turn on a different channel so I can go to sleep and relax. And so I was able to get kind of all sides of what was in the news. But the reality is, when I was I was watching stuff actually go down before it was news. And the hardest part was that a lot of stuff that was in the news wasn't really consistent with what was actually going on. And so I take everything that I see on the news with a grain of salt. Immigration, that's kind of an easy one to pick on and see that. And I know the business case behind what we were doing with Title 42 and some of the stuff, but I'm not in a position really at this point to be critical, because I don't know. One thing I will tell you is I know that the DHS team isn't fully staffed. And so you've got a secretary that's going a direction. And, if you judge him as a business person, which is probably the only thing I'd be qualified to do, you don't run large businesses and start making directional moves without making sure you've got everything in place. That's the appearance that comes across, at least in news. And so but again, if you also want to be a little balanced, you got to give him a little bit of time to see once he gets a team in around him, because they will have to do a lot of fixes. But to be fair, President Trump, we had some moves that we made that were, we had to kind of step back from too. So I'm concerned as a previous administration person, but my factor is I'm not at a panic mode. I think right now there'll be some time to pivot through, and it is definitely something I keep an eye on, and I think everybody is, and so hopefully that helps.
Hello.
Not a serious question, but I'm so curious. Where are you right now, and what's behind you? The building.
This building is looking out on D Street, which is in Washington, D.C. Two offices that I had at Homeland. One was there at 7th and D by the HUD building, the ugliest building in D.C. And then the other I had is in St. Elizabeth's, which is the headquarters for DHS, which is a little bit, south and across the river in Anacostia. And so, but I had to do a lot of work on the hills. So this is where I would normally be.
Love it.
And right today, to answer your question very specifically, I'm actually in LaSalle getting ready to go out of country tomorrow.
That's your virtual background.
That is my virtual background. I thought I'd add a little bit of flair to it.
Thanks.
Another question. How's your wife?
She's doing good. She, it's the bicoastal relationship's tough, but she has a teacher. Kind of as a side too, is that last year, the spring when we were first going through COVID, she teaches down at La Quinta in Garden Grove Unified School District, and at that point they didn't have really limitations on where you could teach, and so she was actually teaching high school from Washington D.C., but that did not work out super well. And so she came back, and she's been teaching in the class with the students virtual. And this week is the first week where the students are starting to come back. So she's been doing very, very good. And I appreciate asking about her. she's been the whole purpose and reason why I was able to do all this stuff. So I'm very appreciative.
Please say hi. She's very lovely, very, very, very warm. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, I'd like to ask a question. I apologize first for my lack of a camera. It doesn't seem to be working at the moment.
Sure.
Yes, but this one might be a little bit hardball, but I am interested. I understand that in your history, your confirmation to the Department of Homeland Security was put on hold by another senator. And I was just wondering, and it says you've been held for over 9 months on that nomination. So I want to understand like how you felt about that, how you navigated and overcame that kind of obstacle.
Yeah, that's a great question, Isaac. So let me just start, and I'll do this in a minute. Really quickly, a CFO for any department level, there's 22 departments and agencies that have CFOs, and 14 of them have to be confirmed. That is a privileged nomination that should never have to go to committee. It usually, you go through the iteration and then you end up going on the executive calendar of the Senate, and then they get 10 days after that to make a selection. On day 9, they, because Homeland is very controversial and nothing goes easy there, Senator Peters from Michigan pulled my nomination, and then Senator Johnson from Wisconsin, who was the chair of the Homeland Security Government Affairs Committee, called and said, Troy, we're going to get you through your hearing really quickly. Made it through the hearing. That's where I met Chad Wolf. Chad was going for Undersecretary of Management, and a guy named Jeff Byard was going for FEMA director. So Chad and I were going through. Chad had worked with Kristen Nielsen and was taking a ton of hits because of the children and putting children in cages. That was the perspective. And so he thank God he was on that confirmation. So I thought I'll make it through. He probably won't. And so we made it through. We get passed to. And then Senator Rosen from Nevada pulled us. And how I go to sleep and how I feel okay about it, Senator Rosen pulled us because that she had a protest with the president on pediatricians at the border, which being a corporate restructuring and consolidations guy, not much I could do about pediatricians at the border. It was more of, it's about the president and her, not me. But senators have a tremendous amount of power. The last thing about that, it was probably one of the best things that happened to me, because through that, I got to meet all the senators through the office visits. I even met Senator Rosen from Nevada. A little fun fact about Senator Rosen, she worked at Catella Deli growing up as a girl. So so I thought she'd be the last person to pull me, but politics are pretty hardball there too. But anyway, I tried everything. I had lobbyists trying to work behind the scenes. So one of the reasons why I was open to take the job as the deputy undersecretary is because I knew, I was able to turn 3 visits to the White House into being the CFO of Homeland, or at least they nominated by the president. I go, if I could get into Homeland, I could get my own confirmation work through. And so I was able to kind of get on the inside and then start working with Pete Gaynor and FEMA and some of the places where people, and the Commandant for the Coast Guard, people that the government or the Congress likes and they would want to satisfy. So when you have those people saying, God, we really need our CFO, that was what ended up pushing it over the edge.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So there's about 4 minutes left. I want to be sensitive. So just a last call. And like I said, I learned working with Shelley on the council is if you don't clip it off, she'll clip you. So I just make sure I end on it, at the right time, make sure everybody gets to work. Last call out there. Any other questions?
Troy, do you see yourself working inside government in the future?
I do. I really enjoyed it. I looked at it more as public service. When you have the opportunity to work at the highest level of the government and you actually have something to bring, pretty fulfilling. One of the highlights that I had as a personal thing is, I was in the Navy as a submariner. I was an enlisted guy. But when you're the confirmed CFO, you're equivalent of a 2-star flag officer. I remember going on board military ships. I did a lot of work with the Pentagon and with Coast Guard, and I'd go on the military ships and they would ring you on like a full ding, 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 ding. And I remember thinking when congressmen would come on or, flag officers, if they ever came down. So it was like one of those things that's like, wow, that I never thought that would be me. So I just think the public service part of it's just the things that I got to see and do, and it's our money, right? It's taxpayer money. I just so that's why, for me, I think I would love to have another opportunity down the road, but we'll see what the next time period goes. And I really was open to kind of help even in the current administration from a business perspective, because I do see it as public service, and my function was more business. I wasn't out there making the policies.
Troy, if I may, in that regard, I see you as a builder. President Trump was a builder. The two of you bring a lot of unusually specifically needed and very productive policies and ways of getting things done, perhaps in a new way that we weren't that aware of. That is vital. The last 4 years were vital to the country, and your future in your, not only your talents, but your good results is exactly like the president. And I wish you all the luck, and I hope to see you back in there soon. You're needed.
No, thank you, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
So Manny, I think we're just about at the end here. Just want to be sensitive and appreciative of everybody's time. If anybody has questions or wants to talk more, definitely I still have the same emails that I had when I was there. I really appreciate everybody taking their time today. And I feel like this was my homecoming. I just love to see my faces. Pat Nessa, thank you out there in Iowa for supporting me. I realized you would call in. I'm very appreciative, and you've been like my second mom, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Troy. Really appreciate you having this homecoming and giving a presentation to everybody in Los Al. It's great to see you, and I know all of us are wishing you safe travels out of the country tomorrow. And I personally really like that virtual background, even though you're in Los Alamitos. I think that's pretty cool.
It's either this or the USC Sweet 16 background, which.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have my UCLA one up, because
okay,
that's
very good. Hey, everybody, thank you, really. Thanks, of course.
Thank you, Troy.
And Leanna, we're back to you.
Okay, well, thank you, Troy. That was really great. I appreciate that. Our next virtual meeting will be on April 29th, and our topic is creating stronger communities through nonprofit and business partnerships. So please put that date on your calendar. Hope to see you guys virtually again, and soon maybe in person. Are there any shout outs that anyone would like to do for that you might have done some business with another business in the community recently and you'd like to give some kudos to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Catella Bakery. We have a personal family friend who every other month or so insists that we go to Catella Bakery in particular to get her a loaf of rye bread sliced with seeds. She will accept no substitutes. So shout out, kudos to Catella Bakery.
Wonderful. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to do a quick shout out to Manny for leading this today, because I was panicked since I am a Zoom rookie. So thank you, Manny, very much. I truly appreciate it.
Of course. And like Troy had said, I'm also going to be holding Nisi accountable for some sushi.
Okay, then I will close with our quote of the day. And this is from Tommy Lasorda. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. And I think that is real evident in all of us, and especially Troy. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanna and Manny.
Thank you. Have a wonderful morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
everyone.
Aloha.
Mahalo.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. This was very interesting to attend and very insightful. But just one small question is, I noticed it's recording. Is this recording available anywhere publicly, or is this for private record?
We will be posting it on our newly created YouTube channel.
Excellent. And what's the channel called?
That I do not know, but if you check the Los Alamitos Chamber of Commerce website, we'll also have it there.
Excellent. Well, you guys just earned yourselves instant subscribers, so thank you very much. Have a good
Awesome.
one.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.